So hi guys, I've been thinking about when I was a kid, I always wanted to learn what my favorite musicians were listening to when they were growing up. If I went back and listened to what they were listening to, then I might get some inspiration and insight into what it was that gave them inspiration. So with this video, I want to tell you the 5 or 6 different bits of music that completely changed my life in terms of how I write music and in terms of how I listen to music. Looking into this has been really fun for me. So here are 5 or 6 different bits of music that changed my idea about music and changed the way I think about music. Tractor has to be going by right at this point. Although not part of the 5 things that changed my ideas about music. Did have a few amazing things happen to me because my dad was a musician growing up. One of the things was seeing him play at Carnegie Hall in New York in 1967, anniversary gig of the Spirituals to Swing. There's a song called The Thing by the John Handy Ensemble, available on Spotify and Apple Music. The other amazing thing is I sat with the singer Judy Collins watching my old man play the show in Carnegie Hall. That was kind of neat. And also on that same trip, amazingly, there was some commotion down in the hotel where we were staying. And of course, my mom and dad didn't think anything of it, so they sent me down to see what it was. A guy had been murdered, and I saw his body lying there when I was 5 years old or something. Pretty amazing. And the woman behind the counter at the hotel gave me a teddy bear, which I had until I was probably into my teens. Got lost somewhere along the way, though. Crazy stuff. What a life. Sun is shining away, but it's cold. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, one of the amazing things that changed my life in terms of music, in 1970 or 71, bought the Beatles' White Album, the first album I ever bought myself. And I got it by phoning Eaton's and having them deliver it out to Longale where I lived. So that was pretty cool. And that was around 70, 71, somewhere around that area.
I told you about strawberry fields. You know the place where nothing is real. Well, here's another place you can go.
Then the next thing that really changed my musical thought process was, I guess around 1975, Don and Norma's house in Toronto. They let me play the Cone concert by Keith Jarrett. I would get up and play the music while they were all still asleep in the music room at Don's house, which was amazing. And sort of somewhere around that same time, I saw a film about Jimi Hendrix, which was the thing that really made me decide to pick up playing guitar. Although my old man was a guitar player as well. In 1977, Anarchy for the UK came out, and that song changed my mind about guitar altogether. It had that amazing riff. It was sort of the opposite of Johnny B. Good. So instead of going doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, it went doo-doo-doo-doo backwards. So down to the low E instead of to the high E on it. Just a cool and amazing riff. Another incredible thing that happened to me, in 1977, myself and my friend Roshan did the Love Gun tour with Kiss across Canada and down the west coast of the US. An incredible thing. Really young kid who probably shouldn't have been out there at that age, but it taught me a lot about how tours worked and how merchandise worked, because I was working as a roadie selling glow-in-the-dark necklaces. Amazing. And I also learned how to juggle while I was on that tour. The tour later became the Kiss Alive 2 album.
You've waited 2 years to hear it. Kiss Alive 2, the most spectacular live performances in the history of rock and roll. Kiss Alive 2.
Another thing that really changed my mind about music, Heavy Weather by Weather Report, and that was in March of 1977. I was up at our country cabin. There's a lot of snow up there. It was near Lachute. I got a phone call. Crazy enough, we had a phone at our log cabin in Denani saying that the Weather Report were playing at the Théâtre Saint-Denis on November 24th, 1977. Me and my friend Randy hitchhiked back all the way to Montreal to see the show, which was fantastic, of course. The next crazy thing that really changed my mind about music, the last great album that I have listened to, like from beginning to end, completely floored me, A Sign of the Times. And I was living in Paris at the time. We bought the album. It wasn't even CDs, it was cassette. That's right. Went to our little flat in Paris, closed the curtains, and listened to the entire album from beginning to end. 4 sides of this incredible album, Sign of the Times. Prince's last great album, and probably one of the last great albums of that era. Yeah, Sign of the Times. Amazing thing. And then, of course, there was the Brown album, which was the first album by Bootsauce. And that, of course, changed my life dramatically. Amazing to think back about it now. Incredible, crazy times that happened right then. So that was around 1989 when we recorded that, and I guess it was into 1990 when the album came out and we had our first hit single. That pretty much describes the 5 things, which I'm sure was more than 5, that really changed my way of thinking about music and changed my idea of how to write music, and also it changed my life, really. And all for the better.